What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Common Coder. My name is Josh, and in this video, we're going to be talking about HTML validation. We're going to talk about what it is and why it's important. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the web and what we're validating against. And then finally, I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can validate your HTML to make sure your code and your syntax meets the HTML specifications. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so on my screen here, I have a slide, title slide for HTML validation. And the easiest way to think of HTML validation is to think of it like a spell check, but for HTML code. So the code that we write, the syntax, if you will, that we put in, syntax is basically the formatting and the structure of code. And each markup language and each programming language has its own syntax. So HTML is no different. Needs to conform to a certain structure and a certain standard to ensure that it's valid. And there's a couple different tools that we can use to go ahead and validate our HTML. But before we get into those tools, we need to kind of step back in time and talk about what we're actually validating against. So I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down here a little bit. And we're going to reintroduce this doc type. So in a previous video, we introduced HTML, we introduced the doc type, and I mentioned in that video that the doc type specifies which version of HTML that the document is written in. So it gives some clues to the browser and says, hey, this document is of a certain HTML type. You need to apply this specific set of rules to that document in order to render it correctly. Okay, so this specific doc type here with HTML refers to any HTML document that is HTML5 or above. Now there's a little bit of an asterisk there. HTML5 technically is not really a thing anymore. HTML is what is referred to as a living standard. And so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about web standards and what that actually means. All right, we'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. And as you can see, it wasn't always this way. So up here at the top, we have an HTML3 doc type declaration. This was sometime around 1997. You can see that the doc type portion is similar. We do have the HTML, but then we reference a specific version and a specific specification. So you can see this says W3C, DTD, HTML 3.2, EN meaning English, HTML4, sometime around 1999. Doc type again looks the same, but in this case, we not only do we have the reference version, but we also have a web link to that specific standard. You can see this HTML4 strict.dtd. You can check this out if you're curious to see what is in there. Around 2000, something called XHTML was introduced. You can see that this doc type looks very similar to the one above. Main difference here being it specifies XHTML as the standard, basic 1.0, again in English, and the link to that specification. And then finally, HTML5, sometime around 2014, doc type declaration switched to HTML. And there was a decision made around this time to focus on a HTML standard that wasn't beholden to version numbers, and that was something that was going to be continuously developed. And so that led into something we call web standards. And we'll go ahead and talk through this. There's a lot more history here. Basically, this is kind of a brief summary of how we got from where we were to where we are now. All right, so starting with number one, HTML is now a living standard. So this started with HTML5. Basically what that means is there's no versions and the HTML specification itself is in continuous development. So as new features are added to the HTML language, it's up to browsers to go ahead and implement those features as per the specification. So moving on to number two, the HTML specifications are developed and maintained by two different groups / standard bodies. Okay, so first we have the W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, and then we have the WHATWG, or WHATWG. This stands for the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group. Okay, so these are two standard bodies that basically oversee the development of the HTML specification. So a little bit more about the W3C and the WHATWG. The W3C is the legacy organization here. They were the standards body for the original HTML specifications. However, around 2004, the WHATWG was formed in response to the direction that the W3C was headed. So basically around that time, the W3C decided it wanted to go all in on XHTML. And there was a group of people that worked at various tech companies. They weren't quite on board with the direction that the W3C was going in, focusing exclusively on XHTML instead of the HTML spec. They realized that was going to cause a lot of problems in the web, lots of breaking changes, non-backwards compatible stuff. And so in response to that direction, they formed the WHATWG to continue the development on the HTML spec. So what is the main difference between XHTML and HTML? XHTML is essentially just a more strict implementation of the HTML spec. It was very specific on syntax rules and things that try to fix a lot of the quote-unquote problems that a lot of people saw in HTML. It was a little bit more sloppy, wasn't quite as structured, and XML at that time was very, very popular for transmitting data across the web. And so the idea was to make HTML conform to that XML specification. So basically for a good chunk of time, there were competing standards. There was an XHTML standard and an HTML standard. Fast forward to today, and we can see that HTML1, the XHTML charter, expired in 2009, and so it is no longer a thing. The W3C and the WHATWG are now working together. They are frenemies, if you will. And that happened around 2019. They basically agreed that they would work together to advance the HTML specification. So basically the long story short version of this, the TLDR, if you will, is that competing standards aren't good for anybody. Competing standards leads to chaos, it leads to fragmentation, it leads to slower development. So, if you can get multiple tech companies or multiple parties to agree on advancing a certain standard, that moves everybody forward at the same time versus being kind of stuck in this competing. You can kind of think of what's going on with Apple and their charging ports. Apple should have switched their Lightning ports to USB-C a long time ago. This is kind of the same scenario, but in software versus hardware. So competing standards, bad for everyone, chaos ensues. All right, so with all that out of the way, it's time for some demos. And so I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we can validate our HTML. All right, so I have an index.html file that we created in a previous video. It's a very, very simple HTML document. It's got a doc type, an HTML element, a head element, and a body element. The body element has an H1 that says hello from HTML, and a paragraph here that says please like and subscribe. Okay, so if you want to see how we created this, check out the video that I'll link down in the description below or in the little title card thingamabob. It's going to be there somewhere, but go ahead and check that out. If you want to see this, you can pause the video and copy what I have here. But basically, this is the HTML we're going to validate. So the first way I'm going to show you how to do this is actually using the W3C validation tool. All right, so if I go to validator.w3.org, you will be taken to this Markup Validation Service page where we can validate HTML by entering a URI. This would be the web address to a particular website or web page. I can validate by a file upload, so I can actually upload an HTML file, and then I can validate by direct input. Okay, so I can validate all these three different ways. I can enter the web address, upload a file from my machine, or I can copy paste HTML in. So let's go ahead and do these first two. These are essentially the first ways, basically using this website. Right after this, I'm going to show you how we can leverage Visual Studio Code to do some of this validation inside of our development environment. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and go to VS Code, copy this HTML, and go ahead and paste it in here. And the reason why we looked at the doc type declarations and talked a little bit about web standards is because under here in more options, we have different options to validate against different HTML document types. So I can validate this full document and I can use the doc type and I can either detect it automatically or I can validate against these different standards. So you can see here is the HTML5 standard, here's the HTML 1.0 standards, HTML 4.01, HTML 3.2, 2.0, bunch of different other things in here that we don't necessarily care about. Really, the only thing we care about in this whole list is HTML5 because this is the de facto standard. HTML, like I mentioned, is now a living standard. We want to just validate against whatever the current whatever that current standard looks like. I'm gonna leave it on detect automatically because we have an HTML5 doc type here. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. We're not using a fragment, so if we were just trying to copy and paste a small piece of HTML and not a whole document, we could validate it against the fragment if we wanted to. But this is what we're going to do. So basically, we're going to validate the full document, and we're going to have it detect automatically. And there's even this option here that says only if doc type is missing. So there's a couple different settings here, but this, like I mentioned, this is why that doc type is so important, is because it's designed to tell the browser what version of HTML it needs to display. Okay, so if I go ahead and click check, all right, so once that's done, I will be presented with this page here. And if I scroll down, you can see that I have two messages down here at the bottom. So what I do have here is valid HTML. However, I have a warning and an info. So first one, the warning says, consider adding a lang attribute to the HTML start tag to declare the language of this document. It's good to let the browser know what language the page is being displayed in. And all this extra context to the browser is helpful for search engines. It's helpful for things like screen readers. things like that. And we'll talk about all that stuff in future videos. But for right now, just think of it as we're giving context to the browser so that the browser can display the page in the most accurate way possible. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to my HTML document here. I'm going to go up to my HTML tag, and I'm going to go ahead and add the lang attribute. You can see Visual Studio Code is helping me. Lang, which is the attribute name. And remember, attributes always take the form of attribute name equals, and then attribute value in quotes. And we can see here inside the quotes, we're going to go ahead and use EN since this is an English webpage. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste this back into my HTML validator. Click check. And now you can see that that message went away. So now I have one more message, and notice I still don't have any errors. What I have is a valid HTML document, but it's just giving me some extra context, telling me that I can improve upon this page if I change a couple different things. Now this info here is a little bit subjective. So I actually mentioned this in a previous video that certain tags in HTML are what are considered self-closing. And what that means is that the tag itself doesn't contain any content. And the way we have historically used such a tag is to include this / right here at the end of the tag, indicating that that's the end of the tag. This is not required per the HTML5 or the HTML Living Standard. However, you can put it, but if you do put it, it has some type of problem because it technically has no effect and it can actually interact badly with unquoted attribute values. So what does that actually mean? So inside of our document here, it's complaining about this closing slash. And basically it's saying that this slash could interact badly with unquoted attribute values. So it's actually valid in HTML for my attribute values to be unquoted. So I can actually take off this quote and then take off this quote, remove the slash, and what I have here is technically a valid HTML document still. Even though my attribute name isn't in quotes, the specification doesn't actually enforce the use of quotes around the attribute values. Now, I don't particularly like this format. This is more of a personal preference just because of my history of use with HTML. I kind of like to have things structured in a particular way, but this is technically valid. So if I was to copy this again and go up here, go ahead and paste in my newly revised HTML, click check, and now you can see it says document checking completed. No errors or warnings to show. All right, so this is pretty cool. I could have also used the file upload to validate this HTML. So if I go back to validator.w3.org and click validate by file upload, you can go ahead and choose a file. So remember, HTML is a document. It's a document on our computer. So if I go into my code folder, where my HTML demo folder is at, I can click on that index.html. It's almost the same thing as like opening up like a Word document or a PDF or something like that, right? Just opening up this file. It's going to upload this to this validation service. I can go ahead and click check. This will do the upload, validate my document, and we can see that the document checking is completed. No errors or warnings to show. All right, so that's pretty cool. However, it's a little bit of a hassle to copy and paste this or, upload every single file to this checker. What would be nice is if I could get some of that information here inside of Visual Studio Code without having to leave. And so luckily there is a way for us to do that. All right, so what we're gonna do here is go into our extensions panel. So the extensions panel is this one that looks like the little blocks. And up here in the top, we are going to search for HTML Validator. All right, and as you can see here, we have a bunch of different extensions, all of which do some kind of HTML validation. The one that I'm going to use is this W3C Web Validator. It's got, at least as the time of this recording, it has 108,000 downloads and a 5-star review. So this looks pretty good. Gonna go ahead and click install. And what this does is it installs this extension into my Visual Studio Code. And now I can use this to validate my HTML here in my development environment. So I'm going to go ahead and close this extensions panel. And then down here at the bottom, you can see that I now have this W3C validation button. And what I can do here is go ahead and click this. And basically it sends this HTML off to that W3C validator behind the scenes and lets me know that my HTML file is valid. Now, if I wanted to kind of reintroduce one of those errors that I was seeing, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this in quotes again, just to get it back to where I had it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my closing slash. And then now I'm going to click the button again. And it's telling me that this HTML document is not valid. It's technically valid. I don't have any errors or warnings, but I do have an info. And you can see here at the top, it's underlining my document. And if I hover over this, it's telling me that message. So trailing slash on void elements has no effect and interacts badly with unquoted attribute values. Okay, so I can see that W3C validation feedback right here inside of VS Code, which is super, super helpful. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Thank you so much for coding along with me today. If you like what you saw, please leave me a like down below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We're going to do a lot more video tutorials like this. We're going to talk about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and pretty much everything else in between. So if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing for more videos just like this one. All right, well, I hope you learned something today. And if not, I hope you were at least mildly entertained. Until next time, remember to never stop learning, and I will see you all in the next video.